I was thinking about how it's called domestic labor and how we say, like, we domesticate animals. Like, that's a domesticated dog. It's just kind of, I have a few issues with that. I don't like calling it domestic. The Kapuna campaign makes me wonder, what do people look at to judge a society? How do you judge a society? Domestic workers are considered house cleaners, nurses that work in the home, people who work in other people's homes, or people who care for others in a certain type of environment are considered domestic. I think a good way of judging society is by looking at the way they treat their young and their old. There isn't much attention even paid to people when they're old, and that's one of the most common issues, is you become isolated and depressed, and then that's when your mind isn't challenged, your body isn't challenged. It takes a lot because you have to care for old people 24/7. They go to the bathroom all the time. They need constant care, and yet we undervalue the people who choose to make that their purpose in life. If what you're doing is valued in society, you want to do it. But if what you're doing is kind of looked down upon, like, oh, you just go take care of old people, that seems easy, then you're not going to want to do it. For me personally, why I care so much about the Kapuna campaign is that I've seen one of my grandparents die in the past year, and she wanted to stay home. She didn't want to go into anywhere, and she was able to, but I saw her falling asleep on the table, her face down in a book that she's reading over and over. And I saw her husband refuse to put in a handicap thing in the bathroom so that she could use the toilet by herself and be comfortable in her home. And I watched him stuff food down her throat that she hated and her become miserable. So if there was a campaign like this that was in place that had workers that were valued for their work and it's a valued purpose in society, then my grandma would have had a lot better few years at the end of her life. Instead of forcing old people to go into this institution that's like a hospital, the Kapuna campaign wants to honor people who have lived their whole lives and give them the opportunity to say, I want to stay in my home and have work come to me, and I want it to be good quality work, care for myself. We're gonna get old one day. We need to have a service in place for people who can't afford to go into really, really privileged facilities. I feel like the Kapuna campaign really honors old people's stubbornness. I've seen it stress my dad and my uncles out so much, trying to be like, Mom, you need this if you want to be free and not have to be depressed and drink yourself to death, which is what you're doing because you're just numbing your feelings right now.